It turns out that the worst people for turning their brain to mush on the mobile phone is men. I would have thought it was women, but apparently it is men, specifically men between the ages of 18 and 40. This is a study that's been done by Swinburne University, and the lead researcher, Saqib Nawaz, who looked at 523 Victorian adults for this, said that about their phone habits, they found that people under 40 were twice as likely to report heavy or even dependent levels of phone use compared to other adults. Non-parents used phones more than parents. I suppose that's not a surprise because parents have got other things to be doing with their lives. That's right, the kids have got the device. Males were more likely to be using their phones than females, and students topped every other group. Now, you can maybe make an excuse for students doing some studying on the phone. I don't know. It probably indicates that if you're a student, you're more likely to be on the younger end of the scale, and that would generally indicate that you're more likely to be au fait with these kind of handheld devices. I have to say that I was surprised that young men in particular are the number one market for it. And I'm trying to think why that might be. I mean, look, I know of a weekend, you know, I'm having a punt, and I used to punt in cash all the time, but now I punt on the phone with a betting app. So maybe that accounts for the reason that young men are using their phones so much and, you know, sneaking a go at the races when you're out at lunch and you're like, no, I just got to see what's going on. But I was genuinely surprised that young men are the top of the list.
Yeah, I'm surprised. It was a small sample size. Yeah. It was only, 523 adults. It included podcasts. So if you consider the popularity of, say, a Joe Rogan, who has a 3-hour podcast, and that's his target audience, right, young men, so that might account for it. As you mentioned, blokes are always watching sport on their phones. And so that would account for it. And it didn't differentiate the study between using a device for work or for pleasure. So with all of those anomalies, I'm not sure how much stock you could put in this.
Yeah, I mean, there probably is some truth to it, though, that men, especially young men, are increasingly socially isolated. They're not going out and socialising with their friends as much. They form communities online through places like Discord, where you can chat while playing video games to other people. And so maybe it is true that young men are gaming more. I know my brother is on his phone playing games, sorry, Oliver, all the time.
Totally threw Oliver under the bus.
But it's a guy thing, and they form friendships, like actual friendships with the people they play with. Yeah. Whereas for girls, I think if you are on your phone, you're probably on social media, and that makes you feel tired and depressed after a while, so you want to get off it. So that's good. But speaking of technology and the really interesting applications it has, in China, they may have found the next breakthrough in environmental conservation. Normally, when you're observing endangered species, if you put a human in there, you disrupt animal behaviour. If you just have a camera in there, you won't really capture what's going on. So scientists in China have come up with a really novel solution to track Tibetan antelopes. They've built one. Yes, using AI hooked up to the 5G network, they have created a robotic antelope that can blend in with the herd. Now, it doesn't look particularly realistic at times, but it might just be enough to fool the herd and get some really interesting insights for the scientists.
Well, allegedly, it has actually sort of ingratiated itself with the herds. I'm not sure what that says about the intelligence of these Tibetan antelopes, that they can sort of be infiltrated by a robotic version of themselves. But you know what? This is, I know I'm down on AI all the time, and I wrote a column last week saying AI is going to destroy the world and all that. I do believe that. But this is actually one of the good uses of AI. I'm glad to see that in China, of all places, they've worked out something that can be done that is good for the world with AI. And it makes a great deal of sense because, of course, it's difficult if you're sending people in to deal with animals. You know, animals know that people aren't other animals, so they behave differently. And if you send in any other sort of device that doesn't look like an antelope, of course they're going to behave differently. So maybe they have found a way to accurately monitor what goes on in the animal kingdom. I think it's brilliant.